Yo, welcome back to the No Level Cap podcast, where we get into all the anime, all the gaming, none of the bullshit. This week, we talk about Dragon Ball Daima. All right, y'all. So, like we said, we talk about Dragon Ball Daima, and I just want to just dive right in because this show has been quite something to watch just over the first 3 episodes. So, Devin, what'd you think of the show so far?
I gotta say, man, I'm actually quite pleased with this show. When I first saw this show, I wasn't really sure what to think. I'm like, oh, they doing kids again. But after seeing like the premise and like the setup, I'm like, I'm kind of rocking with this. The first episode was funny, like Goma and his little subordinate, so Supreme Kai's younger brother, were watching basically the end of Z Saga, and it was like, man, who these guys, man? They out here beating Bobbity and they were beating Boo and doing all this. And it's like, man, who are these people? It's like, oh man, it's good. Now, first off, you the new Demon King because the Boo are gone. So, oh yeah, I am. I guess it is right. Yeah. The thing was, it kind of reminded me of like Dragon Quest. Like if I didn't know this was Dragon Ball and see those characters, I would have thought this was Dragon Quest a little bit. Like with the character designs, the environments and stuff like that. And of course, it's like Dragon Quest is also like in that realm. It's a Kira Toriyama property, so it's like watching this. It's like, man, if I didn't see Goku, I would think this is Dragon Quest. But seeing how they get turned into kids again, and it's always the same setup. There's a little munchkin guy, Garlic Jr., Emperor Pilaf. It's like it's always a little munchkin guy that's up to no good. I don't know. I was actually thoroughly surprised, man. I was thoroughly surprised. All 3 episodes, I was engaged. Having the old Namek and the Namekian just come out of the woodworks and be like, oh yeah, I can just bring the Dragon Balls to me. It don't matter where they are. Like, what kind of cheat code?
Not just bring them to him, because that's already broken.
Yeah,
but he can like
them.
He restored
after they've been. He was like, yeah, they just been used. So what? There you go. I mean, he paid for it though.
He did. He did. But I gotta say, I spoke too soon when I saw this. But I actually really like this right now. And I'm so glad that they used the Z Broly animation. Because this is, to me personally, this is how I thought Super should have been animated. Like the fights that they were showing, like between Goku and Vegeta, like in this new, and I'm like, this is how I thought Super should have looked. It looked freaking amazing. It was that raw core Toriyama art style, like the stark lines and stuff like that, like the rigid edges and stuff. But it's like this new coat of paint. I'm like, this looks amazing. I'm invested, man. I definitely didn't think I would be, but I really like this show, man.
Okay. Terrence, what'd you think, man?
Dragon Ball is interesting again.
Yes.
And I say that in the sense of, okay, with of course, after Z, we had Dragon Ball GT, and it has its ups and downs to it, but overall, a lot of people try to ignore it just because it is a bit of a misstep, and it's not really what people consider like the true successor to Z. And you have Super, which it expands on Z in a sense, but and there's like more there is lore to Super, but it doesn't really. It's more about just giving the Saiyans even more power. It's still just about big fights and not really expanding the universe as much. And like I said, you had the multiverses, like the different universes, which is cool, but it kind of felt like there was a lot of meat left on the bone in terms of what they could do with that. And as of right now, the Super anime is done and hasn't come back yet. And I know the manga, I guess, is still going, but no, it isn't.
It's on hiatus.
Okay. That makes sense. And even the manga kind of had some missteps. So I just think overall Super has been a mixed bag in terms of a sequel to Z. This, I will say, I have heard the criticism that people have said that it's a bit of a slow burn, but to me, this is an interesting slow burn because this is truly expanding the Dragon Ball universe in a way that hasn't been done in a very long time. Like the fact that we're getting to explore the demon realm, something that was kind of just mentioned in passing. You had Deborah show up and they talked about it in the Boo saga, but it wasn't explored thoroughly like that. This, you can kind of see they really, like, Toriyama thought this out. That, and also there's not as many like loopholes to the powers and everything as there were with GT when Goku was turned into a kid again. In GT, is just that he didn't have access to like all of his power in a sense. Like, he could get up to Super Saiyan 3, but it was extremely draining. Whereas here, there's a lot more restrictions on what Goku can do. And as a result, it's not just, oh, I can power my way through everything. We're kind of reduced back to like basic fight choreography, which makes this show interesting, and not having to rely as much on like Super Saiyan transformations just yet. I mean, they've shown scenes where Goku's going to go Super Saiyan and Vegeta too, but we haven't touched that just yet. Them getting used to like their smaller bodies. That's interesting. The gas that's in the air that's mentioned on episode 3, how that restricts movement. It just seems like there's a lot of thought that's been put into this. Just even episode 1 is really cool, seeing the nostalgia that's reflected in this. And it's not like, I've said for a while that Dragon Ball has kept going just because of nostalgia, because people have such fond memories of Z, and that's the thing that keeps pulling people back in regardless of quality. And it feels like with this, like, this is nostalgia, don't get me wrong, but it's nostalgia and it's further fleshing out that nostalgia. Like I said, just the world building here, the lore that's been added with the fact that people with pointy ears are from the demon realm. Like, that is just really cool stuff. And it also harkens back to Dragon Ball, where it was a lot more of that world building and martial arts and wasn't as much about power levels and the scaling of everything and these big bombastic fights, which that stuff was great in Z, don't get me wrong, but it felt like we kind of reached the ceiling with it in Super. And so I'm glad to see things scale back down and get more into the story. If you can't tell, I am a fan of where this series is going so far. Like, these first 3 episodes, they've been very entertaining for me. Like I said, I've heard people say that it's a bit slow, and I mean, if you're not into the lore like that, then I guess I could see that. Like, if you're just so used to Z, where everybody's throwing punches, or Super, where everybody's screaming to power up, we're going to the next Super Saiyan God form, then maybe this won't be for you. But I feel like if you watch Dragon Ball and you have an appreciation for that, like, this is the true like spiritual successor to Dragon Ball and the successor to Z in that regard. And it also feels like Dragon Ball GT done right so far anyway. It's really sad that Akira Toriyama couldn't see this, like people's reaction to it. And in a way, it's kind of interesting that I feel like this show is being taken in a different light because of his passing. Because I'll admit, when we first heard about Daima, we talked about, like, you know, what is this? Like, why is Goku a kid again? Like, this, oh, they're just milking the series again. But no, Toriyama was cooking with this one. I'll gladly admit that I was wrong, and I'm glad to be wrong. Like, so far, this has been great. Hopefully it doesn't like tank somewhere down the line. But yeah, I think so far these 3 episodes have been really strong.
All right. Will, what about you, man? What do you think so far?
So far, because I ended up watching them last night, and I was just like, let me see what's happening here, because I almost thought I had to go to another platform to watch them, because at first I thought they weren't on Crunchyroll. I thought they were elsewhere. But sat down and watched them, and I won't lie, I'm in the same boat as Terrence. He pretty much got a good bit of my points here. It's doing a lot that I really like. I'm with it, and as a longtime fan of Dragon Ball Z, and seeing what they're doing here, especially having to take them back to being kids, I thought that was gonna be like one of those things. I'm just like, here we go. Let's see how this dart hits the board and see how well it does. But I'm sorry, Toriyama. I apologize. I'll leave what I thought I was gonna say away.
I wasn't familiar with your game.
Exactly. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to come at you sideways about how you was doing this. But it's really cool. It's fun. And one of my favorite parts, I'll admit this here, was seeing Goku had a power pole back and he used it just like, and when I seen it, I immediately had like this flash in my head of like old Dragon Ball. And I was just like, oh goodness, he used it. It was just silly that he found it because Master Roshi was using it as a laundry line.
That was so stupid.
I'm like,
I mean, he wouldn't use it.
I mean, yeah, he
That's
was.
true. He wasn't using it.
But that's just a funny way to end up finding something you once used before as a kid. Now you got to use it again because, you know, you can't just, you know, power up, fist through the chest and be done, you know. So yeah, everything they got going on, I definitely love the first episode because it took me back to those times of watching those episodes again as a kid. I was just like, wow, they really touching on something I ain't seen in years. I don't even have the DVDs for this, and y'all showing me this again and in a new fresh coat of paint. I love it. Everything about it was just awesome. It took me back, and then 2 and 3, I love that stuff too, man. It's just all there. So I think as a fan of the series, if you like the lore, just like Terrence said, by all means, come on over here and watch this. Don't write it off. Toriyama didn't leave us this and just said, here, y'all just take it and I'll just put the money into my state. He said, no, I want y'all to enjoy something here. There's something here for you. If you really love this, come sit with this show.
Okay. Rakeem, you're up.
Yeah, first off, I want to shout out to the new Demon King, getting the Boo Saga for free. I hope he doesn't get a cease and desist. He was watching it all for free, having a good old time. Like, dang, these boys getting down. Who is these dudes? He was talking
watching
like
a wrestling pay per view.
I know,
man.
That man had the all 22 up. I was like, God dang.
They
He was watching every angle. I'm like, all right.
I also love the fact that this all started because Supreme Kai's sister was like, well, you wouldn't want them that over here. You wouldn't want none of them boys over here. So you might want to take care of them. And Supreme Kai brother, like, they really have literally no reason to come here at all. None. It doesn't make any sense. He was like, I'm going to go with her. I saw them hands he was throwing. I don't want none of that. I first of all, I want to say I like the fact that Dragon Ball has a sense of adventure again. I haven't felt this way about the series since maybe the Namek saga when they went to a new planet. You didn't know anything about that planet. You didn't know anything about these aliens. They're exploring, it had its own lore. They had their own Dragon Balls. It was a whole new thing. This harkens back to that. And that was some of my favorite parts of the Z as a kid was like going into the unknown, seeing how characters react and are able to adapt to the situations. I was kind of like we talked about this. Like I was kind of apprehensive about like them being kids again. Cause I felt like it felt regressive. Like these characters have been around for like decades, and they have their own stories. They have families. They have kids. There's characters in the background who could be used. But I will say that, like, thinking about it from the perspective of them being kind of brought down in power scale, now they have, although they probably will still be ridiculously powerful, they still have to, approach things a little bit differently. I love episode 3 that came out today, where Glorio was taking the helm and driving through the underworld, and it was like a Wild West, man. They came into the hotel. He said, "You ain't finna scam me on this money." He had that pistol out, man. He was taking no prisoners. I wonder, like, that man.
Was the guy scared because the dude had a pistol, or was he scared because that pistol signified something?
I wonder that too, and
that's a
hopefully
good
they
point.
expand on that.
Like, was he? Because like he's still kind of not answering no questions.
Yeah.
And so it makes, because like I think even Coyote, even the Supreme Kai was like, "Hey man, what do you do here?" And bro was just like this and that. And I was like, hold on now.
Hold on.
What we call them, Rakeem? We call them Demon Trucks. Dunks.
Demon Trucks.
Instead
of a sword, he got a gun.
Almost the
Demon
same outfit, same
Change
hairstyle,
classes.
almost.
Change classes.
Traveling through time and
he
dimensions.
is, and that also adds to it. Like Glorio's in a shroud of mystery right now. They've actually built a character we know nothing about. I haven't felt this way since Hit. Like, who is this dude? This assassin dude? Like, we ain't never seen him before. Just like the entire pathway. I've always been more into adventure style storylines. That's why I like the last Dragon Quest, Adventures of Akai. It felt like an adventure. I love when characters have somewhere to go and a purpose, but along the way they meet new characters, new areas, new interactions, have involvement in their area, have an impact on their area. And it feels like this season of Dragon Ball is going that way, where Dragon Ball in the past has gotten away from that because, the power scaling got so high. They weren't really going on an adventure. I mean, these dudes had instant transmission. They could fly at light speed. They could get where they needed to go super fast. So I've been very much intrigued. I'm interested in seeing how Goku interacts with this underworld. He's already up to crazy stuff. How did y'all feel about them having that intergalactic like fish gatekeeper thing? That was hilarious.
I love it.
Crazy.
It's the kind of old school Dragon Ball weirdness that you kind of expect.
And it asks for a PIN number.
I just want to know why Goku kept trying to piss it off. That's all I want to know.
That's Goku, man.
Yeah, that's Goku being
Goku
Goku.
does
He's like,
that
hey
a lot.
man, your your big ass look like a goldfish. Dude was just like, I'm not no goldfish.
Not a goldfish.
Well, you
ain't
a
a
bug-eyed
goldfish.
goldfish then, bitch. What you mean? I was like,
And so it's pretty kind of like, bro, shut the fuck up, please.
yeah, exactly.
It's cool because
Also-
it adds like a level of something that you can't just power through. Because like we've talked about, like that's the thing with Z and Super is that a lot of stuff you can just power through and there's no real consequence to it. Like we're in uncharted territory. Like Goku can't just do whatever he wants anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
I also like that this is expanding on the lore of the Supreme Kai, who kind of has felt useless for like a long time. So
Man,
this is his arena. So like this is his family is part of the villains. He's going to the underworld, and now like okay, he's a Supreme Kai, but he's from the underworld. How did this happen? Because his family's still down there. So something must have changed, something in his character or something like that, to get him to the point where he basically became like a god. So like that must be a big deal.
Y'all notice Glorio was hating on him a little bit too.
He was.
Oh
He
yeah.
was like, yeah, you know, I see what your type of people are. You probably was in the first demon world the whole time. You ain't have much reason to come down here and hang out with us peasants. I was like, oh, shit.
You were
man.
living on the upper side while we were in
Yeah.
what's the character? What's everybody hates Chris? What's that area that he's from? Bed-Stuy.
Slums.
Yeah, while we're in Bed-Stuy.
I told Rakeem, that third level reminded me, like I almost feel like it was on purpose. Toriyama did this. Like that third level reminded me of Sandland, like the way it looks, and like how the first area kind of reminded me of Dragon Quest. I'm like, hey, it's like he's melding all these like types of like looks and environments together, and it's dope.
There's definitely like tie-ins through his art and all the projects he's worked on. You
yeah.
can definitely see a through line there. So I would not be surprised if there's some influence. But overall, yeah, I'm intrigued. It's still very early. Obviously, they're just getting there, just getting used to the place. Nothing major has happened outside them turning to kids. So it still has time to go even deeper. But so far, as a start, I think Daima is actually a triumph. I think it does something different with the lore. I think it looks good. Watch is good. I mean, the first episode was basically a recap. So, some people don't like recap episodes, understandably. But I didn't have a problem with it because I watched the Buu Saga, so I know what the fuck's going on. So, yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'm going to keep watching it. I think you guys, anybody who hasn't checked it out, give it a shot. You might like it more than you thought. So if you got kids right now, it's the perfect starting point for a person who has a kid who loves Dragon Ball and hasn't gotten their kid into it yet. Start them off on this and see how they like it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And like, it has some Dragon Ball Z lore, but not so much that you need to watch Dragon Ball Z before you watch this. Like
Right.
that. And the first episode was kind of a clip show anyway, and so it kind of covers a lot of what you would ask and whatnot. I do think for Daima, it's a curious choice to make this set before Dragon Ball Super. I hope that we don't get into a Street Fighter type of situation.
Please
where
don't.
it's just we've got this one part and then everything else is just set before it. It's just prologue. Like I hope that's not it. What's up, Terrence?
Real quick, I was gonna say in regards to that, they already have an issue with the fusion thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
Yeah.
Kabito and Supreme Kai gotta somehow fuse back together for it to make sense again.
I forgot about that.
they just retconned it. They was like, fuck it.
They retconned the retcon essentially.
Yep.
Let's be honest. Of all universes, this is, I guess, I don't know if it's a positive, but let's be real. Dragon Ball drastically changes something in its lore with every iteration. Something like usually changes, like big.
Well, that's because Toriyama, he kind of care, but he don't really care.
Right. And there's inconsistencies. Like Trunks' hair was one, for instance, or something like that. But like they've always kind of been like that, where he's like, I don't care that much. We'll change this. It's been 20 years. Who cares?
I mean,
That's
Y'all
kinda-
talking about the fact that they defused?
yeah.
What did they explain it? Remember?
they went in Boo's
They went
body.
inside of Boo because
Right.
Apparently,
went
if the
inside.
Boo's body makes some type of gas that takes the Potara and be like, hey, bro, look, this don't happen in here.
Right,
Split.
but I believe they were fused in Dragon Ball Super, like at the very beginning.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
you're
that's
saying.
what I'm
Okay.
talking about.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
because
All
and
right,
they well in Super, don't they say that they wish to defuse?
I think they had to
I think
wish.
that's what. Yeah, that is what
Yeah.
happened. If I'm not mistaken, like somebody in the comments can correct us if we're wrong, but I think that's what happened. Is they wished for it. So yeah,
Yep.
they got to get back together again.
They're gonna have to go ahead and fuse or something like that. I don't know. But even then, it wouldn't make sense unless, like, I guess you could explain that Boo didn't want to like suck him up a second time or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
'Cause that was weird. It's like, yeah, we just had Boo eat us. Yeah, exactly.
He was
But I
like,
mean, like
so
that's
you
what they said in the
You don't get this
show.
one time.
I
One
think
and done.
I don't know why Bulma just hasn't done some type of experiment on Boo, found out whatever that gas is, like actually use it, and so they can just use the Patara earrings without being like stuck together forever. Because it's stronger than the dance, right?
Well, no, I think they're
It's
both
not?
the same. No, they retconned how the earrings
retconned a
work
lot.
anyway.
Oh.
The only reason why the fusion was permanent was because of it was two Kaiosha. It was like Spring Kai and Kibito. If it hadn't been them, they said that the earrings, they're not permanent. Like they have a time
last
limit.
an
Just
hour.
like
Yeah,
the
they
fusion thing.
retconned that in Super.
I remember
with,
that. Thank you, Sage.
The future arc, yeah.
In the Goku Black arc, they was just
Yes.
like, oh yeah,
Yeah, Goku Black.
Lore
arc, yeah,
cons-
that's right,
Wow.
DB Dragon Ball is not the universe to worry about lore consistency. Just
Yeah.
don't do it.
they don't care.
You'll be a happier person if you don't.
Because they could have just had Gogeta just beat Goku Black and that would have been the end of it. But instead, like after he was like whooping Goku Black's ass, or it was fused Zamasu, because it was like Zamasu had fused, I think, at that point.
Yeah.
But it just
Right.
didn't matter because like the earrings, it was like, yeah, y'all too powerful for the earrings. So like not only did it wasn't a time limit, but just like the fusion dance, the more powerful you are, the less time it lasts.
Yeah.
I was
Like,
like,
right when
I
he's
mean,
getting ready to give the final blow, it's like, oh, well, your time's up.
Time's up.
what you would think, like, all right, that's cool, but I done beat you within an inch of your life. Like, I'm strong enough to finish the job myself now. Like, it is what it is.
You know, these villains and their healing factors. DB Dragon Ball love healing
I
factor
know,
villains.
bruh.
I guess
I
that's
swear,
true.
bruh. Put Wolverine to shame.
But yeah, I mean, like, I do think it's a curious choice to start this before Super. I know a lot of fans want an ending to Dragon Ball Super because like the manga is still not only still going, well, it's on hiatus, but like when they left off, they had just introduced like the most powerful version of Frieza yet. Like I know fans want an ending to Frieza Black or Black Frieza, whatever you want to call him.
The most powerful.
And realistically, they'll probably also want the Moro storyline adapted too, because there's some cool character development moments and shit like that. But like, I guess they were just like, nah, screw that. We just want to make it easy for people to jump in, create some new, end for fans and shit like that. And I mean, that's fine. This show definitely is a slow burn. We're 3 episodes in, and there's been one fight scene. It was a hell of a fight scene, but it was still what surprised me about the first couple episodes is just how much lore dump there was. Someone like, and not just the lore active, like the we're telling you lore, but also like the environments and shit. Because somebody brought up online, like when Toriyama did, at least like from Namek on, Toriyama would just be like, hey man, it's an alien planet, the end, and then they just move on.
Yep.
And then like you watch the films, and the films would show all these super detailed environments. Like you compare some of the movies and the environments in the movies to like Namek, and Namek was just like,
Real
what
planet.
Namek looks like in your head, but it's such a barren world. Like it's just, it's just a green ball with a lot of ocean and them weird Namekian houses, and that's it.
Right.
And the movies are nothing like that, and this is more like the films than it is like Namek or something like that. It also, with all the lore dumps, it feels like this one is for the Dragon Ball nerds, like the ones like me that argued about Dragon Ball lore on forums back in the 2000s and shit. Because there's so many different, like every time you want to know something, they just put an explanation in pretty much immediately. Just like when fucking, I'm glad I got to this part. Hey man, Shenron done got out of hand, bro.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I put in a little something extra.
Shira was smoking on that black man, chilling out. He the uncle now.
First it was I put in a little extra for Piccolo. Now somebody like, hey man, I thought we get 3 wishes. Like, look, I don't know y'all niggas. I'm not giving y'all.
That's funny. That's funny.
That's for
Unknown
regulars.
first timers get 1 wish. Now take that 1 wish and get the fuck out of my face. I was like, damn, Shenron.
And then he wants you to specify completely too.
I like
He's
that.
like-
He was like, I want the, like, hey, turn them all into kids. What about the
How old
kids?
we talking?
Turn them into
You know what?
babies.
I really think by this point, Shenron should know the Z fighters enough. He'd be like, "Oh, you asking to turn them? I don't know. You up to no good. I can't do this. No,
I
Get
know,
out.
right?
It's
you
almost
want me
at
to
that
turn the
point.
Z fighters into kids? No, you up to something. Get out, bro.
Yeah. Go
And
away.
then what happened? The only rule I'm like that they threw out. What happened to the damn I can't affect something stronger than me? What happened to that shit?
I don't.
Because like he showed transformed all them into kids, and I'm like, well, you could have done that to Goku. I mean Vegeta and Nappa back in the day. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe then
They
figured
didn't think
something
of
out.
that back then.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I will say I definitely agree with Devin. I was thinking that as I was watching episode 3 in particular. This doesn't feel like a Dragon Ball series in some ways. Like it feels like a JRPG or like a 90s fantasy anime. Like even the first major fight scene, it gave off the vibes of like a Trigun or a Kenshin in the way that it unfolded.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, you don't find fight scenes like that in Dragon Ball, where like a character's just like
bar fight
100%.
a bar fight scene. You don't find shit like that in Dragon Ball. Like not Dragon Ball, not Dragon Ball Z, GT, none of that shit. Well, I won't say GT because I ain't watched GT like that.
That's none.
It ain't in GT either. I watched all of GT. You ain't in GT either.
But yeah, like you don't see fight scenes like that. Like I was like, hold on, in a bar, and then it just broke out, and then Goku just busted out the moves while he eating the hamburgers, and it was so unlike Dragon Ball, but yet so Dragon Ball because Goku was still himself. And he was still just like eating his food. He's like, hey man, I'm hungry. I ain't got time for this bullshit. But I will give me a chance to get some exercise in and get used to my body. I do have questions about that too. I wonder if Goku will be able to is Super Saiyan gonna be a hard thing for him to reach? Are we gonna have like a first time scene? Because there's the or like I guess a second time scene. Because in anime, especially like Dragon Ball Z, like if the first time you go Super Saiyan is cool, the second time it still takes a lot of effort. It's only after that where you're just like, oh, I can turn this bitch on and off whenever I want. And so I wonder if we've reset to a point where going Super Saiyan might be a little difficult, and maybe we get like an extended like transformation scene where he finally like gets a chance to go Super Saiyan for the first time. Because I feel like that's coming at some point.
That would undo like Goten because they went Super Saiyan so easily. So it'd be like now we're like
so
they know how to do it. So why would it be
Goten?
Not
just Goten, not just Trunks.
And Pan.
No, I was thinking of them boys and the boys and girls in Universe 6.
Oh yeah,
man.
Feel the tingle in your back.
I was just gonna bring that back up. I was gonna say, you know what? It'd be funny if they like, you know what? Goku's like, I gotta feel the tingle.
Man, people hated that so much. Like when they reveal, like when Cabo was just like, oh yeah, it just felt like a little tingle in my back, and everybody was like, what?
God.
Dragon Ball community was pissed. I didn't think too much of it until I see people online complain about it. I was like, oh, it is kind of funny, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I like this. I like this show so far. It does, like Keem said, feel like the Namek Saga, especially like some of the filler elements of the Namek Saga, where like Goku and like Krillin and Gohan get like kidnapped by some fucking space pirates or whatever the fuck and have to get out of that shit. And it's just like that. The fact that that's filler is still wild. Because it wasn't like long, but it was kind of funny that they just decided to have a whole little side arc like that. The only thing I'm wondering who's gonna be like the big villain, because like King Goma and Degetsu, they can't fight. I mean, Degetsu might be able to fight, but Goma clearly can't. So like maybe they take the old Namek and wish that man young or something like that. Because I mean, he seemed like he had a lot of tricks up his sleeve. He seemed like he could be pretty powerful at one point. We know how, making a Namek and young, we know what that does to him. Like we've seen some of them get young and all of a sudden
Didn't they say at one point in the first episode that I guess maybe that was intended to be the third wish was add 1,000 years to his life?
Did they say that?
They said something about 1,000 years. Like I remember Goma saying something about I'll give you like if you when he went up to the edge of the tower to get the Dragon Balls, he said something about I'm gonna add 1,000 years. Remember what we agreed upon. Like I'm gonna add 1,000 years to your life, and then that's when he brought the Dragon Balls back. But I guess because they didn't get that third wish, then that's irrelevant now. So
hell, they ain't get the second wish.
Or maybe that was something he could have done if he got that. What was that thing? The third eye. Maybe he could have done that with the third eye.
Which just real quick, I've seen some talk online that, and I don't know if it's gonna go this direction. It'd be very interesting if they did, but that third eye. It kind of makes you wonder, like, is that like what TN has? Like,
wait a minute now.
But I don't think it's gonna go there. I don't think that's probably something Toriyama had in mind, but that could be interesting.
Toriyama does something with TN. It's one of the best series ever, man.
I swear, bro.
It would definitely be my favorite. It'd definitely be my favorite series. TN used to be my guy. I do remember there was a bit of lore about TN that he had like lost a lot of power because he like went down the path of evil, and his people are supposed to be like pure-hearted or whatever. And so I do wonder if they ever go back into that, because you never know with Dragon Ball. The other thing I'll say, I love how I hope they continue down this path of like being more exploratory, because Super kind of pissed me off. I feel like they dropped the ball not exploring all those universes in the multiverse.
You got it.
Like,
Talked about that.
That's it.
I was so certain when the Tournament of Power ended. I was like, okay, so now Goku and Vegeta go to all the different universes and get into some trouble, and we'll get to see how each universe is different from one another and shit like that. Because you already introduced all these characters, and then like Universe 11 was like this super advanced tech universe, and then even that, like, I don't know if they said Jiren finished off the dude that killed his family and friends or not. I don't know if he ever did that. Because he definitely, like, Jiren, like, you know, remember the story for Jiren was like, some strong ass motherfucker killed his family, and then not long after that he started training, got super strong, made a whole bunch of friends, started helping people, and then that same strong ass dude came back and killed all his friends. And I was like, did he fix that? Did he like ever go back and stop the dude, put him in jail, like anything? I don't think they said. And if they didn't, I thought like, okay, that's somebody that Goku and Piccolo and Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo and them could fight. And they just never. They was like, oh yeah, too late. The show's over. I'm like, that's all we got. Like, there's no exploration. It's just fight scene. And I mean, like, there was some hype fight scenes. I won't lie about that. Yeah. But I would prefer more of what we got here, where it's just a lot of exploration. Because I mean, like, are they in World 2 or World 3?
I think
for the Demon Realm.
Yeah,
the third one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was.
I believe you're right. I
Yeah,
believe
because what's his name? I want to call him Glorilla. Glorio.
Yeah,
Glorio. That's what Glorio. Oh, yeah, he said that he's from the third realm.
No, he's from the second realm, but I believe he could only get a pass to go into the third realm.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah. You're right. So I think that is how this works. So I mean, ideally, I would imagine we got a chance to look at the third Demon World, the second Demon World, and the first Demon World. And I like that. Like, I want to see more of the universe, especially since, like, canonically, I think somebody confirmed that, like, most of Universe 7 is destroyed. Like, between Frieza and Majin Buu and the God of Destruction, most of the universe doesn't exist anymore. There's, like, maybe 16 or 17 planets with life in it now. And I'm like, God damn, you know, 2 of them, Earth and Namek. I'm like, dang, bro, like, y'all. And I believe they said Supreme Kai is supposed to be the one in charge of creation. That man sleep on the job, man. Like, what's going on?
I mean, literally. He be sleep.
No, not God of Destruction. I'm talking about Supreme Kai. You know, he be out there. He just out here I guess he was so worried about Majin Buu, he couldn't do his actual fucking job of making planets and shit.
I mean, he always been kind of mid to me.
He sure wasn't doing nothing in that bar fight. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
Goku got it. That's been his story for like the last 20 years. Goku got it.
That show been that man's story.
He's pretty much just there to be the exposition guy, or like explain things.
Goku is near, I shall never fear.
I mean, once he saw how strong Goku was, I guess he was just like, oh, you know, I'll let them take care of it. Because I'm like, what? Like, what's happening here? Like, and then like, that reminds me, Goku, they because the show is sillier, now they can let Goku be silly again. Because that man Goku was up in that ship and he was like, oh man, what's up with this? It smells funny around here. So it's the volcanic gas. Oh wow. I guess I could fart as much as I want and nobody would notice.
And I'd be dang, that man just did not long after he said it too. The man's like, what's that smell?
Maybe that's that's probably why Supreme got to help, because he was all that silliness in that ship. He's like, you got it, Goku.
Yeah, in fact, the only reason they was in that bar was because Goku was like, man, I'm hungry. I want to get something to eat. It's like, man,
that is true.
Take your hungry ass to bed. We got work to do. Like, we trying to get back to normal size.
And by extension, why they in the predicament they in now at the end of the third episode.
Yep. Because their ship was stolen. They should have just went to bed and got breakfast and then left in the morning. But nah, Goku had to be hard at it.
Goku wanted to be Centennial champion.
I do wonder now, because they ain't got that pin number. It's like, how's everybody else gonna get here?
Yeah, he couldn't get it.
I bet you what's gonna happen. They're gonna go to the wrong universe, the wrong demon world.
I wonder if maybe Piccolo being with them will have some kind of influence in some way.
Yeah.
I just wonder, you know.
Well, I mean, the dude was checking to see if you had the ears, so
Yeah.
you probably right. Like, at least if nothing
Yeah.
else, and I feel like maybe the guy might not be as hard on the job. Like, the only reason he was so serious about his job is because Goku pissed him off so bad.
Now,
He's like, hey, man,
I don't know, boys seemed pretty straight laced. When they got inside, there was another little fish dude. Like, hey, we all headed to. All right.
I don't fish on playing no games.
They got better security than we do in our country, God.
I swear.
you was about to say what, Devin?
I'm curious, like, how does like Piccolo being a Demon King, does that like play some role? Or, like, did they know, oh, he was a Demon King once? Like,
No, because he was Kami first, or like he was the fused Namekian first, and then he just came from Namek. So he probably knows about like the demon world, but he's probably not. I would imagine, like, unless they want to retcon again.
yeah,
Because like what the lore with the lore that we have, we just know he came from Namek, and
Okay.
like he had been from Namek. He had left Namek so long ago, he kind of forgot. Not only forgot that he was one person at one point.
Oh, that's true.
It would be very
Not to
interesting if they did expand on the lore of Demon King Piccolo. That would be kind of
Yeah.
cool.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I would
not
like
to
see
mention,
that.
like, I mean, like in Dragon Ball, Namek didn't exist. That wasn't nothing
yeah.
That's true. That's
when he
very
was
true.
Demon King Piccolo. So
Also, what's going on with Gohan? Because they didn't show Gohan, so he's a kid now.
Gohan's being
kid
distant.
now.
Gotta be
Like, is
like,
Videl a child too? Is
they all children.
so it's like they hadn't showed us. So I
Yeah.
wonder what they up to. He was probably teaching some class or studying. It's like, hey, what's
All
going
of a
on?
sudden he just shrunk.
It does
Well,
make you wonder,
actually-
like, what are the conditions here of who fought with Boo? Because some of the people, I will admit, like, technically didn't fight with him. So it's like, how do they count? But, I mean, whatever.
Get the whole crew. Just know.
Tien
Get
definitely got.
everybody.
because they got Hercule, didn't they?
Yeah,
They did get Hercule.
Tien.
Yeah, they got Hercule.
I mean, the dog don't exist no more. The little dog he got, he ain't even born no more.
This reminds me of remember you just got age reduced a little younger, so he'd be a tinier puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
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 I guess whatever the equivalent of a first grader for a dog.
You got it.
A 2-year-old, I guess.
Or,
Also,
if you were a kid, you were reduced to being a baby. So, maybe
Yeah. They
just-
lost 2 fighters because Goten and Trunks can't even do nothing now.
You know what's wild? They were like babies, but they
Mm.
still had their intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
Hey, it was
That
like
was crazy.
Rugrats vibes. I was like, what? Yeah. And then like I don't know how this worked, but like they suddenly had like diapers. I was like,
Yeah,
oh,
the change of
That
clothes.
was wild.
And Master Roshi looking like Krillin now.
now we got
Right.
there. That's
That
what I
was
was wanting to bring
interesting.
up.
That was interesting.
That was very interesting.
Master Roshi got young again. He was like, oh yeah, I got plans now.
Oh,
Bro
no,
changed
no,
up his
he
whole
didn't.
fit. He was like, oh yeah, I'm finna go out and get up to something now. Like
That's
I've been
so
wanting to be
bad.
young for the longest. I was like, bro, what?
My ultimate wish was granted, baby. Kamehameha stronger than ever now. Let's go.
Low key, he should have just wished for the Dragon Ball for that, because like that's a better wish than Bulma getting a BBL. So I don't know why he didn't just like just go ahead and make me young, buddy. Like I'm
Lord
tired
have
of being
mercy.
old. Just go ahead and take a good 200 years off my life and let me look young again.
Hey, he know you too, so he's he might put a little extra in there.
He might
what
put a
I'm saying,
little extra.
Orange Roshi.
Hell, if he's setting out powers like that, everybody need to make a wish.
You
I
right.
know.
All
right?
of y'all. Ain't no sense in none of y'all being weak. That's another thing. I kind of hope that we get to see a little more of like, because the opening seems to suggest that it's just gonna be Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Bulma, and I think that's it. I don't think it's gonna be anybody else out, in Spring Kai. I kind of would love to see more of like Android 17 or Android 18. That's a question. Is Android
didn't show
17 a
them.
kid?
They did not show them. You're right. I
They
didn't. I
did.
forgot about that. Like 18 would have been with them. So like, yeah,
Yeah.
what happened to her?
No, they showed her in the first episode, like everybody, because remember
everybody's eating.
they had like the party, and so
Yeah.
you got to see everybody, because Marion was a child too. But what I don't see is like in the opening, where they show you like, okay, these are the characters, the cast that we're gonna be following. Like it was just, the 5 people I mentioned, all them other characters just apparently not being used. I'm like, dang, I would like to see them.
Did they show
kinda
18
want-
younger?
I believe so.
Okay,
She
I
had
guess
on,
she
like,
just didn't have any dialogue, so it was like a quick glimpse kind of
You're
thing.
right.
Okay,
Right.
maybe
I
that's
think
what
she
it was. I just
she
missed
might
it.
have had a line and nothing else. Like it was
Yeah.
just like a
Right.
real quick thing.
Okay.
Because I remember she still had on like a mom fit, but she was like a little kid, so it was like funny.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Also, that would have been
Krillin losing
hilarious
his
if they
hair.
like the androids just stayed adults
Makes
because
no
they were
sense.
I know,
androids.
right?
How you get bald when you get younger?
Well, remember he was never supposed to be bald in the first. He's not bald, like he just shaves his head, and so like I
Mhm.
guess it just restored him back to how he looked when he was a kid.
That's crazy.
Cause he sure lost all his hair. He was sure just like I'm bald again. I'm like, damn. I'm sorry, Krillin. Or maybe he wished for hair. I don't know.
Also, I'm curious in like the ending or like the intro, they show like Goku, but he's like a teenager though. Am I the only one that kind of caught that? Like he didn't look like an adult. He looked like
In one of the outros,
yeah, well, like he had the power pole on his back. He looked
And
older, but he didn't look like an adult though.
You say in the intro or in the outro?
I think it might have been the outro, but he looked like I'm like he don't look like an adult, but he doesn't look like a child either.
That might have been like a throwback kind of thing to Dragon Ball, like showing the progression. But I'd have to see it. I'd have to check that because
I'm like, is that like something he's gonna like? They're gonna grow up? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now, and I don't see like what I'm seeing is just like him. Well, I'm looking at the outro, and I mean I don't
maybe
see.
that was that Saiyan growth spurt he mentioned. When you
at 15, you
you
just
turn
shoot up.
15,
At 15,
That
you
was
just-
so wild. Well, they do in the opening. They do show him as an adult, not so much a teenager though.
Mm.
And then they show, and it's weird because they also show very clearly that Krillin as a kid now don't look like Krillin as he did back then. Like they just let you know, like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm looking. I don't see it. Like I guess. I mean, I could be wrong.
That's just in the intro.
Yeah, I'm looking at the intro.
Okay. Maybe it was the
Yeah,
angle.
that's it. Like he don't look like an adult right there. He looks like a teenager. Like he's on the Nimbus.
Oh, did you find? Oh, when you say when he was on the Nimbus?
Yeah.
I mean,
Goku confirmed.
they probably trying to find a way to differentiate between Goku and Super and Goku and Z because there's some time that passes or whatever.
Which
I don't know,
is
his
interesting.
body
when
looks smaller.
When Korrin told him, why don't you just use Nimbus? And he's like, I'll be all right. Which, I mean, it would have been cool to see him use Nimbus, but the fact that they're in the demon world now and Nimbus would have been irrelevant, it's like, hey, why even show it if, it's not going to be shown for the rest of the show? So it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have been able to take Nimbus with him.
Yeah.
In that tiny ass ship. But yeah, I see the clip you're talking about. He did look young. And it's weird that he was like flying on Nimbus next to like the demon ships, like the demon world ships, but he looked like he was kind of an adult. That's interesting. So I don't know.
Because even his hair looks a little shorter, like on Nimbus.
I wonder how long we're gonna be here to see that then.
We shall see.
I do wonder if this is just going to be like a one and done kind of thing, like just one season. 'Cause I know it's slated currently for 20 episodes. Like, is there a season 2 thing, or is like after that 20, that's it?
That's a very good question. True.
Well, if it's just 20 episodes, then they got to get on the good foot because I mean, like it is a slow burn. Like I don't dislike it, but like you gonna have to get going because you don't have a lot of time. You gotta wrap this shit up.
That is
really
true.
That's true.
So I mean, you can't spend too much time world building and like, we going on the sightseeing tour of the demon worlds and all that shit. You can't spend too much time of that because it's only 17 episodes left, and there's like you got to have a climactic fight scene and like really a wrap up. I would imagine episode 20 is probably a wrap up if that's the only season. So I don't know. I feel like, and then there's a danger here too because like Toriyama was heavily involved in this. But he wouldn't be involved in season 2. So it's like, okay, well, let's watch out now. Like, let's not have too much of too much anime original content. I know you're gonna have to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Speaking of when this is over, regardless of how many seasons it lasts, do y'all think they do more Dragon Ball?
Yeah.
Like Dragon Ball as
Some.
a series, like the entire series?
Yeah. Do you think they just keep doing it, or do they like let it rest?
I think whatever they decide to do with the end of Super, we might get the end of that.
Yeah. That's what I think. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's still movie potential there. I mean, they after everything that they did with
Movies definitely.
Movies definitely
with
there,
Gohan, it's like now you have to further expand on that. So yeah,
So
let's be
that's what
honest.
I was thinking.
Toei's gonna milk this train until like the wheels have fallen off. Like it's like in the ground, like grinding to a halt until the train is gone. They're gonna keep going.
I mean, it's not an immediate concern for them regardless, because this could last probably 2 seasons, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Also, 20 episodes is a weird anime order. Like, I'm used to
It is,
13,
actually.
26,
26.
something like that.
24,
So
25 even.
25 is unusual, but more usual than 20. I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah.
And then, like, once you finish Dragon Ball Daima, you do have to go back and finish the Super, because I mean, like, people gonna want to see Moro. People gonna want to see the Cerulean arc, because it does develop the Saiyans a little bit more. And then people definitely want to see Goku fight Frieza the last time. Man, if that shit need to be like Gogeta beating that man up. I'm sick of this shit. Vegeta needs to play a part. And then after that, once you've wrapped up all of that, I mean, like, that could be 2030 for all we know, because that's a lot of different things to do. And then after that, I could see them switching to just making it like movies.
Yeah.
Like, no more Dragon Ball series, because I mean, like, how many do you need? And you could just do like movie adventures, because like everybody loved Battle of the Gods. Like, when that came out and it was like the first new piece of Dragon Ball media, you saw it, you were like, this is incredible. People liked Resurrection of F well enough. Like, I liked it until the end. Certainly.
Yeah.
And then Super Broly was also popular.
Super Broly.
Yeah.
Super Broly was
Broly's
popular too.
arguably like the best movie that's come out since then. So yeah.
That's still my favorite piece of Dragon Ball media. Although Dragon Ball Daima, if it keeps going, it might, come up there, get close.
Yeah.
So agreed.
But yeah, I mean, like, I would imagine that they just go to like just focusing on films, and you just do like a cool film every couple of years just to remind everybody, like, hey, here's Goku and his friends. This is their latest adventure. Like, okay, cool. But I wouldn't want to see. My point being, I hope that they don't try to like Boruto this, where it's like there was a very clear, like the mangaka, he has a very clear vision, and he doesn't stray from it, and the vision is pretty hype. Like, the story he's telling in the manga is a lot of fun. Well, not fun, but like it's very good. And then like the anime, it's like, hey, let's give Boruto about 3 more birthdays, and then when we pick up with the manga, he's still like 12. It's like, what? Why are we telling stories like? So I don't know. That's just my thoughts, because I had to think about it. But yeah, I think that's gonna wrap up this week's episode. If you liked it, like, subscribe, and do me a personal favor. Have an excellent week. Peace.